In World War II, many historians say that one of the turning points of the war was the Battle of the Bulge, which took place in Belgium in the Ardennes forest. In December of 1944 and January of 1945, in the bitter cold, the Americans and his allies fought against Hitler and his Germans in a battle that took many lives. An estimated 125,000 Germans were killed, and the American losses were put at 70 to 80,000. An area soldier, Bob Duffy, fought in that battle and made it through it. But on the way to Germany, Bob himself was severely wounded. This is part of the Bob Duffy story.
Bob, I talked to my dad about this. One of the things that always struck me was how he hadn't really been anywhere before the war and then traveled over half the United States and overseas. Was that the same with you?
Same with me, yeah.
I mean, had you been out of the state of Iowa? Or?
Yeah, I'd been to Kansas, been to Minnesota. That was as far as I'd ever been.
Okay. All right. And then...
Ended up in Cheyenne, Wyoming in January of 43.
Okay.
And that's where I started my military career.
Okay, I mean, did you enlist there? Did you enlist?
I was drafted and went to Camp Dodge in Des Moines.
Okay.
And inducted in there, and then from there I went to Cheyenne, Wyoming. Spent about 3 months there, and then I went to Camp Stoneman, California.
Where was that near? Stoneman was near where in California?
San Francisco.
Okay.
Is the port of embarkation, and I've been doing blacksmith and welding in the service. That was what the outfit I was in. It was a quartermaster.
Okay. So that they'd be repairing equipment and.
Oh yeah. But we were doing welding and stuff. See what kind of stuff we could weld and all that.
All right. And they moved you around by train, and
yeah,
there were great Pullman cars and sleepers, or did you just have wooden benches?
We had the old style that didn't have any air conditioning in it or nothing. Windows open. We had our khaki uniforms on, and that soot had come in off of them steam engines.
Oh yeah.
And you'd rub it off, and then you had a black streak on you.
Okay.
But,
and what was basic training like? I mean, you see the movies where they're screaming and yelling at you.
No. The basic training I had, I was lucky on that. The quartermasters in Cheyenne, they would get you up in the morning and make you carry the old Springfield rifle and carry it in your overcoat and go down to the mess hall and eat. And then you'd come out of the mess hall, and then you had to do push-ups with that rifle, lay on the ground and lay on your back and do exercise that way. And that was the extent of the exercise. And then we went to the rifle range, and that was the extent of my training on that.
Okay. And how was the food in the mess hall?
Oh, great. It was a cook and baker's school right there at the mess hall. And we had great food.
Good. I mean, you got plenty to eat?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, everybody was homesick. And we'd go down to the mess hall and get a pint of ice cream every night and sit on the footlocker and eat that before you went to bed.
Okay. And you were how old? 18, 19?
Yeah, 18.
18. And it was what time of the year again?
January 43.
Okay, so it was cold out there.
It was damn cold.
Okay. But you had like wool long johns and
yeah.
big overcoats?
And big heavy overcoat.
Okay.
And we thought when we got to California it was going to be nice, but that San Francisco was about as cold as it was in Cheyenne. Only the temperature wasn't, but the raw wind and around Frisco.
And then when you're out in California, how long were you there before they sent you overseas?
Well, I went from California to Campadere, Oregon. I was waiting in Stoneman for some glasses that I burned my eyes welding. And so the rest of the outfit shipped out. And I was laying around there and waiting for my glasses. And they got this order to start a new infantry division up in Oregon. And they says, "You are it." And, so I got my glasses. Well, they shipped me up then to Oregon, south of Portland, about 70 miles, and started a new division. And they had a cadre outfit that come in, was what do I want to say? They were infantry guys, but they had horses. What the
Cavalry?
cavalry? They disbanded the cavalry and made these guys into foot soldiers, and they were very angry about that. And they were old. It was the regular army guys, and they were tough.
Yeah.
And so I got sent up there. Well, I being the youngest of the bunch, they made me KP duty in an officer's mess while they were recruiting and starting this new infantry division. And I rode that out then. I was mail clerk and I was KP man, and I'd done about everything.
Was KP hard, or was it just?
No. In fact, you volunteered for KP on Thursday or Friday. Thursdays, I believe it was. We had mutton stew that day, every Thursday. So I'd volunteer for KP, and then I'd go to the locker and get a steak and fry that instead of eating that mutton stew.
So you were working the system even back then?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay. And
then from Campadere we shipped to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, the whole company, and we got down there to Fort Leonard Wood while they started pulling people out of the company, because that's after the Bulge, or before the Bulge, but I mean Normandy, they had to have replacements over there, so they started pulling them out, and I got pulled out for replacements then.
Okay.
That was in August, I think it was, or
of 43.
yeah.
Okay. That'd be before Normandy, but when they were getting ready.
Yeah, no, this had been in 44.
44.
44.
August of 44.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you see, I went overseas then in September, I think it is.
Okay.
When I went over there.
Okay, and then they sent you to which division?
I went to this 3rd Armored Infantry Division.
Okay.
Never been inside of a tank or around a tank or anything. Didn't know nothing about them. But it was in the infantry anyway. And they give me a half track and a squad of guys. 3 days after I got on the front line, I was a squad leader because I had a corporal patch on my arm, and the sergeant lasted the next day, and he got shot. So they shoved me up then to squad leader, and.
Okay. And when did you reach? Where were they at?
Aachen, Germany.
Okay.
Is where I got joined up with them.
Okay.
And then the Siegfried line was right there then too. They had those stone pillars, and
Yeah, the anti-tank.
Yeah. And we busted through that.
How did you break through those? I mean, did you
Well, they had those pillboxes there
Mm-hmm.
with anti-aircraft guns in them. So if anybody got near them, well, they could spot you, and they had little peepholes in there. But we got around them and underneath the guns anyway, and took flamethrowers and went up there and stuck them in the gun holes that they had and burned them out of there. And
Okay. Then with the flamethrowers, were they in your squad or were they
yeah, we had them, carried them with us. We carried everything. We had bazookas.
So your squad was what, 8, 10 guys, or?
Yeah, they're supposed to have been, but 5 or 6 was a full squad in him. They kept picking them off as fast.
Okay. So you said when you got there you never had any real infantry training, no fire maneuver and that. You'd been in the quartermaster, being a blacksmith, and so when you got put in charge, I mean, what did you think? Did they tell you how to do stuff, or you just watched what was going on?
You use your head. That's when I went into battle with past Aachen there. Was when I joined up with them when we went out to capture a town there, and the tanks got pinned down. It was muddy, and the tanks wouldn't go unless the infantry went with them to keep the Germans from getting into the tanks, and they'd crawl up on the tanks, but we'd go along with them. Well, I laid in a tank track behind a tank all afternoon the first day I went in, and raised up, and they shot the canteen off of my belt, and that was enough for me, I did. But we finally got into this town, got them out of that town, and then we kept moving that way.
Okay, so how did you feel when the canteen got shot? I mean, were you?
I was scared. I was scared the day I got there, and I stayed scared all the time I was there. But was just something you had to do, and you just kept doing it.
Okay. Now, like the guys in the squad, were they all about your age, or were there some older guys or younger?
Some were older. Most of them were about my age, though, too.
And they were more experienced than you, or
no,
were they all new?
No, they were all green at the game, too.
And they were looking for somebody to follow, and that was you, and they just...
Yeah, I got stuck with it anyway, because I had them stripes on.
Okay.
But from then on, we went through to the Ruhr River Valley, and then the bulge broke out. So then we pulled back and went to bulge.
Okay. I mean, when that was going on, did they tell you what was happening, or they just tell you to?
No, they told us what was going on, but we didn't know where. There was no front line. I mean, we were just. The Germans were all around us. We had tanks in there. It probably tells you that were pinned down, and they just abandoned them, burned them up, and got them out of there. Come out of there on foot. And
okay, I mean, where you were at, you see in the movies where they show all these, waves of German tanks just flowing over. I mean, did you see that, or was it just a lot of confusion? Or?
It was confusion. We had soldiers all the way around us. Let's see, I'm trying to think of the name of the town, I can't think. But we would capture a town in the daytime, and the Germans would run us out at night. And our cooks were fighting. We had a cadre of cooks that followed along with us. And they were fighting the same as we were, trying to survive.
And were supplies a problem, and food, or were you just living on C rations?
C rations, K rations.
K rations.
K rations.
Why don't you tell me about K rations?
They were survivals. They had a candy bar in there, or a chocolate bar, and they'll have maybe a little can of ham and cheese, or eggs,
Yep.
And we'd just sneak some gasoline off of the half track and start a little fire and warm that up that way, and you open it up and eat it we had to open it before we did that. A lot of them didn't, and they blowed up.
They only did that once, right?
Yeah, right. And if we were moving, well, we'd lay them on the manifold on the motor too. A lot of the cans, and we had hot food that way. But and then if they caught up with us, had 10 and 1 rations, and that had a little more stuff. Well, there was enough in this 10 and 1, they called it. There was enough in there for 10 guys. And a lot of times there's pineapple and rice in a big can. Everybody wanted that because that was something sweet we were getting.
Yeah. Did you guys do much foraging in the countryside? You know, picking apples or getting chickens?
Oh yeah, eggs. Yeah, go to the chicken house, and then the old German ladies would come out and say 9999, and didn't want us eating them. But we went into a lot of places. I mean, food was on the table yet hot.
Mm-hmm.
They had abandoned. I mean, they just moved. When we moved in, they moved out.
Okay. The civilians, like if you came into a town, all the civilians would.
Oh yeah, they were banished too.
Okay.
Some would hide in their cellars and stuff like that, but most of them were kept right on to going.
Okay.
But the Germans were kind of pushing them ahead of them, I think. But they were there.
Okay. So when they pulled you back, and then you said as the Battle of Bulge started.
Yeah. And we went to Hominids. Yeah, we'd done quite a bit of fighting right in that area there. We'd then the blizzard or snow came, and some of the outfits painted everything, their guns white, and they had white coveralls issued to them, and painted their helmets white and everything. Well, then about, I don't know how long it was, why, it darkened up anyway, and them white suits stuck out like a sore thumb then, so they had to wash that all off then. But they painted their vehicles and everything white, but we didn't have to in our outfit.
Okay. And was the fighting constant all the time, or was it sporadic?
Sporadic, yeah. Yeah, we'd sit there and they'd try. Well, they had a tank outfit cornered in there, probably tells somewhere. That and we were sitting on the line there holding it, and they said to be careful because our men had burned their tanks down there and were coming out on foot. So we didn't know whether the Germans were coming at us or Americans, and so we were yelling to get the right English on it. But a lot of them got out of there that way, walked out. Some of them got captured. It took a squad of guys out one day and just to go over the hill and see what was going on. And artillery opened up on us. And the third guy in the squad